this is happening, remember, in the backdrop, we've seen what's happened in the markets over the last 2 days. We've seen the whole Adani issue snowball, the questions that are being raised as a result of a report filed by a research agency, Hindenburg. Now we've got the Congress party, Jairam Ramesh, issuing an official statement, Zafar Islam, that state-owned banks have lent twice as much to the Adani group as private banks, with 40% of their lending being done by State Bank of India. They've questioned also LIC pumping in money into the Adani group. Suddenly it seems that you do have, and I match this to our numbers saying big businesses have benefited. Should that be worrying or not? Is the BJP willing to answer the criticism that big businesses have benefited more than small and micro enterprises in the last few years?
I think, Rajdeep, I will, and I think you should go back to 2006, between the period between 2006 to 2012, and see how the balance sheet of the public sector banks have ballooned. Because every Tom, Dick and Harry, big, small businessmen, without a proper balance sheet, without proper credit evaluation, have been lent by these banks because they were put pressure. The pressure was being put on them by the Congress party, by the finance minister, by the first family of the Congress. And you see, the balance sheet size of till 2000 since independence was 80 lakh crore, and from 2006 to 2012. It ballooned to 53 lakh crores, 3 times. And that's when we had all the...
No, so you're right that public sector balance sheets are in a healthier position than they have been, but you haven't answered Rajdeep's question about this seeming perception reflected by our poll, where 58% of the respondents seem to think it's big business that's benefiting the most.
That's not true. That's not true. In fact, we have done so much for MSME. We have done for everyone. During the COVID, it is this government who has actually taken pains and provided support, financial support, policy reforms, everything working for them. And most of the SMEs have been benefited. No, but that's a little unfair.
You can't agree with all the data sets that support your argument and say that's not true. This is ultimately the mood of the nation, people's opinion on that question. And here, almost 60% of the respondents are saying that big business is the biggest beneficiary. You can't say Modi is the greatest prime minister, that he did a better job than Manmohan Singh. We agree with all of that, but we don't agree with this one finding. Surely it has to be taken in the spirit that it's given, that this is the mood of the nation on this particular question.
No, Rahul, I mean, I'm not discounting anything because it is, at the end of the day, survey. Whether it's true or false, it is for people to believe. But all I can say is that in terms of market capitalization, of course, all the listed companies, whether small, mid-sized companies or the large companies, have gone up. Where LIC invests in not only the large companies, LIC invests in 500 nifty companies. So there are 500 companies where, as per their mandate, they have to invest, and the money which is coming to them, they need to park. Not in one company they can park. They have to park in 500 companies. That are certain investment parameters they have to comply with, and this is parameter comes from the IRDA, not from the LIC committee or the board. It comes from the authorities or the IRDA.
Okay, I want to focus now on the economic outlook. So you have the IMF do its economic outlook, the RBI does its own economic outlook, but in the opinion of the 1,40,000 people who were sampled by Sea Voter for India today, what's the 6-month economic outlook? So 31% of our respondents say the economy will improve, 28% say it will stay the same, 31% say it will get worse. In the manner in which this is split 3 ways, it would suggest that people aren't quite certain of what happens next. They're hoping it will improve, but aren't certain. What's the forecast on household income? When people were asked, are your incomes likely to go up, stay the same? Here are the responses. 25% saying it's likely to improve, will remain the same 37%, 29% say it will worsen. That suggests to me, studying this data, Yashwant Deshmukh, that opinion quite starkly divided on issues of what happens over the next 6 months. There's no one bucket which is drawing the maximum responses. So respondents seem to be quite confused about where the economy goes from here.
Rahul, your voice was cracking. Can you just repeat the question?
I'm saying respondents seem quite conflicted about the direction the economy and household incomes take from here.
Well, yes, Rahul, a lot will depend on how the question of inflation is also tackled. Please remember that generally the common man on the street is more worried about on the day-to-day economy of his household base front, rather than the bigger strategies or bigger things that we generally discuss on the budget day. So they don't understand the fiscal deficit and other terminologies, but what they understand is if their life on a day-to-day basis is going to be made easier, is there something to be contracted? And biggest thing of that all, in the last 9 years, Rahul, we have seen that the middle classes of this country have been consistently saying that they have been getting a raw deal. So it will be very interesting for me to see in the upcoming budget, which would be the last one, Friday, is the last one full budget before the next parliamentary election, if there is anything that the middle classes of this country are going to get in terms of bigger tax brackets and those kind of things.
Actually, when you
saves more, they wouldn't be able to spend